StraightallDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there, even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. That is the go-getter energy that moves anyone out there, including yourself. It's going to make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called work on your game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is, we are going into the seller's mindset part 2. I didn't even know I was going to do a part 2 on this, or maybe I did. But when I made part 1, I wasn't thinking necessarily about a part 2, but there were some more things I need to add to this topic. So here we are with a part 2. But before we get into this, let me remind everyone I have a daily motivation text message that I send out for free every single day to everyone who's in my text community. This message is guaranteed to keep you focused, sharp, and on point. If that sounds like what you want to be every single day, or at least get you started in that direction, text me at the following number, 305-384-6894. And every morning when I send out the daily motivation, because you're a member of my text community, you will be receiving that message. That number is listed down below in the show notes. Secondly, if you are ready to work with me directly, you want to get direct coaching from me, you want to get into my programs, you want to learn more about these things that I talk about here on this show, how do you actually do them, how do they actually get applied, how do they work specifically for your personal situation, then here's what you do. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you can get all the information that you need and know exactly what steps you need to take in order to work with me directly. There are not that many steps you need to take, and it's not really that much information you need. I'm giving it to you right here. Just go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. I have one program. There's not a bunch of options that you need to cycle through and think about. There's one program. It's at workonyourgameuniversity.com. So while you're doing that, and that's down below in the description as well, let's talk about why we are getting into part 2 of the seller's mindset. So this masterclass is a follow-up to the seller's mindset part 1, which is episode number 2487, which was probably about a month or so ago. And there I explained some foundational mindsets behind the concept of selling. Now, all of us are in the sales business. You're either good at selling or you are bad at selling. You are either, helping yourself with your sales ability, or you are hurting yourself with your lack of sales ability. So you might as well be good at selling, since you have no choice but to be in the game anyway. All right, everybody understand where I'm coming from here? So today we're going to talk a little bit more tactical about the concept of selling, and it's really still about the mindset, but we're a little bit more tactical on the mindset of selling, whereas in 2487 we kind of did more of an overview of it. So let's get into it. Point number 1. Topic once again is the seller's mindset part 2. If things are not selling, meaning you have something to sell and you are just not having a lot of success in getting sales, then you want to look at the people, the process, or the product. 1, 2, 3. You got to look at all 3. It might be all 3 of them. It might be 2 out of 3. It might be 1 out of 3. And it's very important that you accurately diagnose which one it is and which part of which one it is, because if you misdiagnose, you may fix the wrong thing. You may fix something that's not broken and not fix something that is broken, and then you make the situation even worse. This is why you want to have the right experts around you, the right professionals around you. When I talked about professionalizing your business, this is the first point. Get professionals around you. The reason why you want to have professionals around you is so that when something does need to be addressed, it gets addressed the right way and it gets addressed accurately the first time, so you're not fixing the wrong problem or ignoring the right problem. Everybody get what I'm saying here? So when things are not working, you want to look at 3 things. People. First of all, people can be on both sides of the table. The people can be, are you selling something to the wrong audience? That's one thing. Secondly, are you selling something to the right audience but at the wrong time or in the wrong way? That could be another thing. Third, are you the right person to be selling that thing? So these are all different things under the umbrella of people. When it comes to process, are you selling things the right way? Second, could it be you are selling things the right way, but your process is somewhat out of order? You're doing step number 5 where step number 2 should be, step number 3 is where step number 7 should be. You just need to reorder. You may have the wrong order of operations as far as what your process is, or maybe you don't have a process. Do you even have a process for how you're doing what you're doing? Third, do the people who you are putting through the process, or you're putting through whatever process you have or do not have, do you understand that there's a process that they need to follow? Are they getting impatient with the process? Do they not understand the process? Are they confused by the process? Are they annoyed by the process? Is the process costing you people because the process is just not clean enough or smooth enough? This could be another issue with the process. So it's 4 things under process, and those are just a few of them. When it comes to the product, are you selling the right product? Is the product priced at the right value based on what you're offering? Have you communicated the value that makes the price an easy decision for people? These are all things with the product. Does the product actually solve the problem that the people who you're selling to want to solve? Maybe it does solve a problem, but it's not solving the problem that these people want to solve. If you're solving the wrong problem, then you may have trouble making sales. So sometimes the product is the right fit, but you're just selling it to the wrong people, or you're selling it the wrong way, or you're talking about it the wrong way, or it's priced the wrong way, or you're not positioning the product in such a way that people understand that it does what it does. Maybe you haven't talked about it in the right way. So I just gave you like 10 different things under people, process, and product that it could all possibly be the main thing that is in the way. It could be the loose screw that is causing your sales operation to not run properly. And these are just a few that I'm throwing out. You want to get more specific about this when it comes to exactly what you're selling, who you're selling to, what you're selling, the process of selling, then come join Work on Your Game University. We can dive specifically into what you personally are doing and specifically what you're offering. But you want to be looking at these 3 things: the people, the process, and the product. And if you're listening to this show and you may be looking at the things that you're selling right now, be careful that you are not taking just the surface level things that I'm saying here and trying to apply it, because again, what you're going to end up doing is messing up something that doesn't need to be adjusted, or ignoring something that does need to be adjusted, simply because you're skimming the surface here. I just gave you some surface level possibilities for what may be causing things to not sell, but again, you need a deeper dive to make sure you're addressing the right thing in your particular situation. So anytime you have something available for sale and you are not getting the results that you wanted, it is one of these 3 things. Either you're talking to the wrong people, or you're the wrong person. That's possible, and I gave you a couple others. Number 2 is that your process for selling can be improved. You just don't have a good process. Maybe you're selling in the wrong medium. Maybe you're selling through written word instead of video, or on radio instead of through a podcast. Maybe you're selling to the wrong people. Different mediums reach different audiences, and they reach them in different ways. Maybe you like an audio message better than you like a video message, or maybe your audience does as well. So a process can also be how you are saying what you are saying. Those are all different parts of what could be leading to your process. You have a great product and be selling it to the right people, yet what you say is not getting the message across. Maybe you're just not communicating clearly in what you're saying to other people, or maybe you're not making it clear that the product does what it does. Maybe you're positioning the product in the wrong way. You're talking about how the product does A, B, and C, when what people actually want is a product that does D, E, and F, and your product actually does do D, E, and F, but you're not talking about D, E, and F, so people don't know that it does it, therefore they're not buying it. So again, it could be a small fix, it can be a big fix, it can be one thing, it can be 3 things. These are all different possibilities for why your thing is not selling. So anytime your product's not selling, you need to get good at, or get around someone who's good at, this is the shortcut, get around somebody who's good at diagnosing the problem. If you misdiagnose the problem, here's what's going to happen. Another year is going to go by, you're still going to be in the same spot, because you didn't even fix the right problem, or you don't even know where to start in diagnosing the issue. So when it comes to process, again, there can be many factors. This is why you need to have experts around you. This is why you get into mastermind programs. This is why you hire coaches, because these people can help you diagnose what the real problem is, because they have frameworks for diagnosing issues. They are not just randomly figuring it out the way that maybe some of you are doing right now, or you think you're figuring it out, but you're actually making it worse. So you want to be not solving the wrong issue. Any of you remember being in algebra, and you would get an algebra problem, math problem, and the teacher would say, or the instructions would say, solve for X. You got to solve and figure out what X was. Okay, so if you try to solve for X, but you do the mathematics wrong, or you perform the equation in the wrong way, you may think you solved for X, but you actually solved for Y, and there's no Y in the equation, so you got the wrong answer. You thought you had a process, but it was the wrong process. You get what I'm saying? You came up with the wrong outcome because you had the wrong approach to what you are doing. So because there are myriad issues that could be causing a process problem for any of us, the third possibility, by the way, we should mention, could be the product. All right, this is the simplest one to understand. Maybe your product is just not what people want. Maybe you presented it in the wrong way, maybe it's priced the wrong way. And again, this is all why, everything I'm saying here in point number one is why you shouldn't try to diagnose issues on your own. Right? If something's wrong with your body, you don't try to diagnose it without going to the doctor. Most of you will go to the doctor to try to figure out what the hell is the issue going on in my body. If something's going on with your teeth, you don't try to diagnose and drill your own cavity. You go to the dentist and let them take care of it. All right, so the same way you do that in those areas of life, you should do the exact same thing in your business, because at least when you go and you get issues diagnosed in your business and fix them, you actually make money. Whereas when you go to the doctor or the dentist, you're spending money. Point number two. Today's topic, once again, is the seller's mindset, part two. Number two, there is a skill to selling that can and should be practiced and developed. Why do I say this? There's a skill to selling that can be practiced and developed. Is because selling is not some random thing that happens. Meaning, when you make a sale, it's not because you just had some random dumb luck. Assuming that you have a quality product and a somewhat of a grasp of who you're selling to. You don't make sales because you got lucky. You make sales because there's a formula that was followed. And the better you understand the formula that leads to a sale, the better you can recreate that formula, recreate the process that leads to that formula. You can filter out the stuff that doesn't lead to that formula, so you're only focusing on the things that do, and you'll have a higher closing percentage. You're making more sales based on the amount of effort that you're putting in, because you're only dealing with things that are in the correct funnel of that process, the right lane of that process. Anything outside of that lane you can get rid of. All right, so there's a skill to selling. There are certain things that you can say in certain ways at certain times in response to certain things that you should understand and commit yourself to knowing as a salesperson. So anytime you speak with a professional salesperson, or if you ever watch one give a presentation, it may seem that what they're saying is natural and just off the cuff. They just get on the stage or turn on the microphone or get into a room and they just start talking and everything just comes out perfect. It usually is not off the cuff. It may seem like it's off the cuff. It may look like it is, but it's not. There is a process and a plan to what gets said by a professional, whether that's a professional comedian, a professional actor, a professional salesperson. There's a process and plan for the responses to certain things that you say. So next time you go meet with someone on a sales call and you're the prospect and they're the salesperson, if they are professional, they have responses ready for anything you could possibly say. They already know if they're professional. Now, I want to be clear. There are a lot of people working in jobs that many people would consider to be high level or prestigious jobs who are not professional at what they do, because you can tell that depending on what you say to them, they don't really know how to respond because they haven't even considered that response could possibly happen. These are amateur salespeople. You got to ask yourself if you're an amateur or a pro. And if you know you're an amateur right now, then you need to start doing things like what I'm talking about here today so you can get your skills up. The best salespeople, who are usually expert communicators, make it look like everything is random and happening naturally, but it's not. They are just professional at what they do. This is why they're professionals, because they take something that's fully scripted and planned out and they make it look like it's happening on its own. They make it look like it is just organically occurring. You want to become this level of expert to where the stuff that you planned out looks like it's just normally happening. Doesn't even look like a plan, doesn't even look like there's a script. You don't ever want to sound like you're reading from a script, but that you're specifically following a plan, point 1, point 2, point 3. All right, that's a bad formula. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is the seller's mindset, part 2. Point number 3, never stop practicing selling. As I told you, selling is a skill that can and should be developed by all people, regardless of what you want to do for a living, entrepreneur or not. You should always get better at the skill of selling, because when you can sell, you can pretty much get whatever you want in life. Selling is influence and persuasion. When you can persuade and influence other people to do what you want them to do, you give yourself power. That's why you should never stop selling. You should never stop practicing the concept of selling or the skill of selling. You should always be reading books, taking courses, watching videos, getting trainings, doing practice on your own for bettering and sharpening your sales ability, always. And why do I say this? Because your ability to sell is what brings in the money for your business. The better you sell, the more money you will bring in. That's why you should always be working on your ability to sell, because that factors into it affects your ability to make money. The most important thing in your business is your ability to generate revenue. I mean, that's the main reason why you're in business. Your job is to increase value for the shareholders, and if you're the sole proprietor of your business, you're the shareholder. You're the sole shareholder. If you are good at generating revenue, you can miss the mark with people. You can have a shoddy process and a mediocre product and still make money. Let me say it again. If you have a mediocre product and a shoddy process, but you have a skill of generating revenue, you can miss the mark with people, have a low-level conversation, and you will still make sales. But if you are not good at selling, you could be on point with all these elements and still not make a whole lot of money. Your ability to sell is your ability to influence, persuade, and move people to do things that they need to do but may not want to do for themselves. Let me say it again. Your ability to sell is your ability to influence, persuade, and move people to do things that they don't need to do but they may not want to hear for themselves. So you should always be working on being better at communication. All that said, let's recap today's class, which is the seller's mindset, part 2. We are talking about the more tactical level mentalities when it comes to selling anything. Number 1, if things aren't selling, you want to look at the people. That's you and the people who you're selling to. The process, how are you actually getting them to understand what you have, how you get it, what they get, what are the outcomes, and the product. What exactly does your product do? How does it solve a problem for another person? Why would anybody else want this? You need to know the answers to these questions because somebody's going to ask you. The better you know the answers to these questions, the better you can, number 1, share with them what it is you have to offer. And number 2, make adjustments when you're not getting the outcomes that you want. Anytime you have something available for sale, you're not getting the results you want, is one of these 3 things: people, process, or product. Either you're talking to the wrong people, talking to the wrong person. Another possibility is that whatever you're selling can be improved on. The process can be improved. Maybe you're selling in the wrong medium, such as through written word instead of video, or on the radio instead of through a podcast. This could just be a wrong medium issue. Remember, different mediums reach different audiences, and they reach them different ways. And you respond to an audio message, for example, this show, maybe a lot differently than you respond to, let's say, a video message. So process can also be how great you are saying how you are saying what you're saying. You may have a great product and be selling it to the right people, yet the way that you say it is not getting the message across, and you're not able to move people to action. So when it comes to process, there may be many factors that cause the results that you are getting. That's why you hire coaches, is why you join masterminds. So when you're seeing the results you're getting and you're not quite sure why that's happening, you go to your coach, you go to your mastermind, let them see what you have going on, and then they can tell you, okay, well, what you're missing is this, this, and this. So there are many issues that can cause a process problem for you. And the third possibility is the product. This one's the simplest to understand. Your product is simply not what the audience wants, or you are not positioning it in a way that would make them want it. And number 2, there's a skill to selling that can and should not be practiced and developed. There are certain things that, again, can be said certain ways at certain times, and in response to certain things, you should understand and commit to memory. But anytime you talk to a professional salesperson or you watch one give a presentation, you'll notice that it may seem natural, but they're really good, and many of them I've seen are pretty good. Let me not say many of them. No, I'll say many I've seen is pretty good. I've seen many who are not very good. Let's put it that way. How it gets said, what gets said, and there's a processing plan for responses to certain things that you, the prospect, says. So they might not even be the person whoever you're talking to, they may just be following a process for what they're doing. It might not even be their words. But again, if they're good at what they do, it doesn't feel like a process, even though it is a process. So expert communicators make it look like everything is happening randomly and naturally, but it never is. It's always planned out. And it feels, organic, even if it's not. And point number 3, never stop practicing selling. You should be reading books, taking courses, and watching videos, doing practice on your own for better and sharpening your sales ability, because your ability to sell is what brings in the money for your business, and the ability to bring in money is what makes your business run. If your business is not bringing in money, then what are you doing? All right, why are you in business? You're not in business if you're not actively seeking to bring in money. You could be volunteering, you could be doing something else, but it ain't business if you're not actively seeking to bring in money. So your ability to sell is where the money is made. That's why you should always be investing in that ability, because the more you invest in it, the better you get at it. The more money you make, and the more you are actually serving the purpose of being in business in the first place. So always be working on your game when it comes to selling. All said, text me. Tell me the best idea, best new thing you're going to do based on what you heard today. My number is 305-384-6894. You also get my daily motivation once you text me to get in my text community. And secondly, workonyourgameuniversity.com. If you would like to work with me directly, if you want me to help you with how you are selling, how you're pitching, how you're presenting yourself, whether that's through audio, video, email, or live in person, whether you're doing it on the stage, whether you're sitting down with people one-on-one, there are people in my university who I'm helping with this right now as we speak. I'll show you the feedback. I'll show you the testimonials we got. Go to alldrealday.com. You can see all the feedback testimonials we have from people we worked with over the years. And you ready to be the next person? Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. Work on your game. Dre all day.